Oh, okay. God forbid. Everyone wants to hear this. So like I was saying, my projects might not quite be like the rest, but I decided to make some toys this semester because I like to do that kind of thing, I guess. But it gets a little bit more serious than that, and it has a lot to do with what I've learned here and what I want to learn beyond here. So I'll just start by explaining that I designed a set of toys called Cereballs, which are essentially little 4-inch in diameter spheres made of silicone rubber, or actually a material called dragon skin. And these were meant to be interactive toys that sort of took on a personality of their own, and through a very simple set of inputs and outputs were able to sort of communicate with the outside environment. On a serious note, the idea, on a thesis note, I guess, was to explore sort of the human emotional response to non-human or inanimate objects, especially those that are capable of simulating or in a way replicating common emotions that we express, like liking things, disliking things, being content, being unhappy, wanting stuff, being in a state of panic, etc. So you guys would laugh at this slide. Obviously, I drew my inspiration from a lot of places, but I am seriously in love with Donald Norman, and I read his book a long time ago, but I was thinking about, just some of the things that came up in his book, especially the word affordance that he uses a lot, which is, I think, what he means when an object has sort of a physical feature that makes you want to use it in a certain way. And so I started thinking about all the different affordances that objects around us have. And I come from sort of a user experience design background, so I'm used to a lot of bad affordances, and some good ones too. But it got me thinking, what would happen if I created an object that had no external features or affordances? Would people still be interested in it? Would they want to use it? Would it make them happy? Would they feel like helping it if it expressed that it needed help? So I decided to create Cereballs. So obviously, this doesn't tell you much, but it all started from a sketch. I conceived this idea in December, and I just never let go of it. And I'm so ready to let go of it, but I love it. I love it so much. And once I decided to create one, I couldn't help but create 4, and I got to 3. But, well, let's go back. The idea behind each of these was that they would all sort of have a simple sensor network and require a certain amount of inputs and give a certain amount of outputs. So I set to making them, and I poured the silicone, and I made the molds, and I made the whole apparatus, and I, birthed these balls. And eventually I picked my 3 favorites, and I set out to the lab to start instilling the electronics in them, and I spent a buttload of time in there with Elizabeth and many others just trying to get things just right. And we all know the wonders of P-Comp. When you think you get things just right, it's just not quite right. But alas, I got things working well enough to, come up with multiple balls. And I was so thrilled when I had 3 balls, and I took so many pictures, and you can find them on Facebook, and it's embarrassing, and people ask me all the time, what's up with the balls? But the basic idea is we have C-ball here, which is this red ball, and it has a simple set of likes and dislikes. It likes to be held, squeezed, warm, and then vice versa. It hates being alone and being cold. So it has, I won't get into too much technical detail, but it has sort of a force sensor inside. So it likes to be squeezed. The harder you squeeze it, the brighter it gets, etc. E-ball is the ball that likes to be talked to. So the louder you talk to it, the brighter it gets. People like that one. And G-ball is the ball that likes to be thrown. I could show you some of these, but they're fragile. We'll get into that later, too. So I decided to user test. And it started out great. It was 4 in the morning. I was on the floor, and a couple of my friends were around. And I was like, "Hey, you guys, what do you think these balls do here?" And I just let them play with them for a couple hours, and everyone was just as out of it as I was. And I got some really interesting footage. It just, funny stuff. I won't show you this whole video, but just hilarious. People thought it was a sex toy. People were holding it to their bosom a lot. And then I have to show this one of Elizabeth because, maybe, oh, and John.
Where'd you find it? What do you think it does?
No, seriously, something like this. It makes you want to have some kind of Gollum response.
So there was that, and I was very happy with that. If I can move on. Hold on just a second. Oh.
Maybe try squeezing it.
Why am I playing multiple things? Whatever, we'll mute it. So I found that the adult response was a lot like this. It was like they wanted to coddle it, they wanted to hold it, they thought it was this precious thing, and I was very happy with that because I was like, I spent so much time and money on these things, great! You didn't want to break it. I was in for a surprise, though, if I can get to the next slide. I'll just hop to this one. So, as part of my toy design workshop class, I forgot that we had a busload of first graders come in a couple of Friday mornings ago to play test the toys for 3 hours, which essentially meant cathartically watching my entire thesis die in front of me. And here's a little bit of what that was like, although we're playing double audio. Rob. Oh, I see. Quit that. It may have broken.
They're all broken.
First words, mine's broken.
Hello?
Do you like that one?
I think there's something inside.
Mm-hmm.
That they should do. What is it?
What do you think they should? What do you think they should do?
I think they should go in the dark. The light bell. I think you the light bell. A light bell.
Oh, that's okay.
So as you can see, I got a lot of delightful feedback from those youngsters. Let's see if I can go on here. We're at 25, almost done. Oh, okay. So what I learned, basically. Okay, so kids, or even not kids, but anyone who's young at heart, really, plus shiny, bouncy, rubber, lighty things, plus balls, equals these actions. Duh. So, I ended up with 2 really, really broken balls, and I rebuilt all of these last night, and they're not even fully functional yet. But ultimately, in order to build any kind of system like this, it would have to be much more robust to be able to handle the kinds of interactions that I got from it. And it's just flabbergasting to me how much I didn't anticipate how people would play with them. But I guess that's just the sort of things that happen. So future directions obviously add a hard endoskeleton to protect the electronics. And I've started working on a nylon pocket sort of dealy here to protect people from fully messing with the delicate silicone, which tends to crack. So that being said, I'm really going to miss asking people if they want to play with my balls. And I've had a great time here, and thank you to Clay for all of your help, and thank you all. Break time. Oh, sorry.
First of all, I'd like a copy of the slide that said the multi-tiered debauchery.
Well, I I do user testing for like
I
my
really
life.
think that's a great slide, and I'd like to have a copy. But I mean, the other thing is a question of affordances, because it does have an affordance. Because when you found, I mean,
Well,
the ball is the ball.
when I wrote my paper late last night, I realized that yes, I had made several pointed decisions that were in effect affordances. Making it a ball, making it rubber, making it light up, making it make sounds, making it vibrate. These are all things that are common to human and animal sort of instincts and experiences. So those choices I made along the way might not have been the right ones, but they were the most minimalistic ones I could think of, I guess, for my system. So.
But it may be. Oh, sorry.
It seems like you could take advantage of sort of what you've learned and try to like redesign the object so that you. I mean, if you don't want to redesign the structure of the objects, you could potentially redesign the object so that, or redesign the external features of the object so that people would treat them differently. Like if you covered them with like feathers, for example, or fur, then people might be less likely to. Yeah, people might be less likely to throw them, and so I think you can make some design decisions about materials in order to, like, sort of that would solve your structural problems of having to make a lot of changes because people would just handle them differently if they felt fragile. And that actually might be an interesting lesson or experience for kids to be given something to play with, they have to play with in a really specific way. And that the design of the object itself would communicate that to them so they would know, I pick this thing up gently, I whisper to it, you know?
Right.
So that you could tweak some elements in the system to get a certain kind of interaction.
In a sense, though, I mean, what you're describing is giving the things affordances that make it afford a particular behavior.
But it already affords behavior because it's a ball and it's rubber.
Right, exactly. I mean, that's what I was going to ask is it possible to make something that has no affordances? I can't think of...
I think you give anything to kids, its lifespan is, threatened. Whether it's, you cover it in,
Well, it didn't
foam
help.
or shards of glass. I mean, it's...
Right. There was no inactive state during those 3 hours. Like, there was no time a ball was off because there was either enough noise or enough movement or enough warmth in the room that people were just like, oh, glowing things.
Right.
I think an interesting way of looking at it is instead of like saying, how can I make something with no affordances, like how can I make something with like minimal affordances, or how can I strip down affordances, or like what would it look like if I stripped it? I made it less of whatever.
Yeah,
So,
I tried.
Maybe it's not that you asked the wrong question, but maybe it's...
Yeah, it's something that I would like to think about again.
Did you find that maybe, maybe it's not a toy for kids? It's a toy for you. It sounds like it was something that you really.
I was
got
afraid
a
someone was
kick
going to
out of,
ask me that. Like, who were you really designing for?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of wonder, this whole experience was like something that you really, felt passionate about doing.
I know. I sleep
and
with them.
And you did it, and that.
Yeah. I know. I think it was a success in that right, but I would like for other people to enjoy them too.
Well, that's the next step. You know what I mean? I mean, that's that's just the next step of your process, this design process.
All right. Thank you.